We've also signed a memorandum of understanding regarding the creation of a joint commission to reaffirm the border between our two countries. We've signed a cooperation agreement on the prevention and management of disasters and humanitarian crises. In our deliberations, we also discussed the security situation. We condemned the latest violent extremist attack that took place in Titao, where a number of Ghanaians lost their lives, and also our fellow Burkinabés. We have decided to deepen our security cooperation. We are currently negotiating a security framework which will help us to work together collectively to neutralize these violent extremists. We do not want our region to become the haven of these terrorists. We don't like the tag that this has become the epicenter of global terror, and we are determined as leaders to uproot this canker and to make sure that these violent extremists are neutralized. So we renew our condolences and commiserations to the families and loved ones of the recent attacks, and we want to thank the government of Burkina Faso for the rapid response in helping us to evacuate our injured and airlifting them back to Ghana, and how they also managed to contain the situation and bring matters under control. We were quite impressed with the responsive capacity of the Burkinabe authorities.
The minority in Parliament has raised concern over what it describes as a persistent absence of ministers from the House to respond to questions, warning that the situation has created a backlog of nearly 300 unresolved matters. Speaking on the floor of Parliament, Minority Chief Whip Mr. Frank Annoh-Dompreh condemned the development as unacceptable and a serious setback to parliamentary oversight. In response, Majority Leader Mr. Mahama Yariga rejected calls for the appointment of additional ministers. He urged members to avoid politicizing ministerial appearances and to respect the time allocated for parliamentary questions, insisting that government will not yield to such demands.
We have to program the ministers. Where the ministers cannot appear, they should write formally to this House. And that is what is giving rise to the situation we have now, where we have close to 300 questions that are lacking behind. We can't answer them. Some of them are out of their usefulness, and members are worried. This is the Parliament of Ghana. Our oversight cannot be undermined. I insist, from henceforth, when the questions go through the process, and then they are adopted, business statements adopted, same must be communicated to the ministers. Where the ministers cannot show up, they must write formally to Parliament. We cannot be treating the minister with kid gloves. As and when they wish, when I'm available, I will come. When I'm not available, I will not come. It's worrying. So I'm very worried. And you see me very emotional today because I've been following the trend. A trend is emerging. We will not be taken for granted. So, Mr. Majority Leader, we are going to look at you with an eagle eye. Tell your minister to be available. At least the road minister is always here.
If you think by inundating ministers with questions, they will be forced to increase the number of ministers so that we will fail on our political promise, we will not do that. We will not increase the number of ministers. And at the same time, those ministers must also perform their job, just as he has indicated. You have left us huge debts. The Minister of Finance had to pay as a deadline the day before yesterday 10 billion Ghana cedis. How is he going to pay if all the time you come here and ask him questions that he thinks that do not help him to raise 10 billion Ghana cedis? So, Mr. Speaker, the ministers have to carry out their core responsibility of administering this country. And at the same time, they will come to this Parliament and answer questions. And the ministers have been coming. Don't create the impression that they don't come. Sometimes the ministers come to answer questions, and then we spend the whole time engaging in politics and consuming their time. I'm not the president, but I can tell you that we will not increase the number of ministers. The ministers will remain 60.
The Energy Commission has begun a 3-day board engagement in Ho, the regional capital, to review draft regulations for electric vehicle charging and battery swap stations. The sessions brought together board members, industry stakeholders, and technical experts to scrutinize standards, safety protocols, and operational requirements. The review is part of nationwide consultations ahead of parliamentary approval of a legal framework designed to guide Ghana's transition to electric mobility, strengthen consumer protection, and support the rollout of reliable charging infrastructure.
The Energy Commission says the regulation will cover residential, public and workplace charging systems as well as battery swap facilities. The board chairman of the Energy Commission, Professor John Gachi, said once enacted, the regulation will empower the Commission to license and supervise all aspects of the EV infrastructure value chain.
The primary focus of this draft is about EV charging infrastructure regulation. It's also about battery swap system regulation with the following benefit for us all. It will ensure regulatory conformity. It will also ensure technological compatibility. It will also deal with issues of safeguard to consumers.
The Deputy Director for Energy Efficiency Regulations, Mr. Kennedy Amankwa, said the draft regulation has undergone nationwide stakeholder consultations and is currently under legal review at the Attorney General's Department. He added that regulatory overlap issues between the Commission and the National Petroleum Authority have been resolved. The coordinator of the Drive Electric program, Madam Joyce Okanse, noted that EV charging tariffs will be determined in collaboration with the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission. She indicated that grid impact studies will be conducted with the Electricity Company of Ghana and GRIDCO to ensure stability of the national power system.
The idea is to look at our grid and to ensure that once we bring in EVs, we don't have challenges in the grid, and also to support the grid with EV charging, with the cars and with EV charging.
The engagement in Ho was expected to produce final inputs before the regulations are submitted to Parliament.
National Blood Service is urging the corporate sector to support school-based blood donation programs. Ghana currently has only 6 blood donors per 1,000 people, significantly below the target of 10 per 1,000 needed to ensure a sufficient national blood supply. The appeal was made at the launch of the Samaritan Foundation at the Ganata Senior High School at Dodowa in the Greater Accra region.
Senior high schools are vital to Ghana's blood supply, contributing more than 70% of voluntary donors. Recognizing this, the Samaritan Foundation has launched an education campaign in partnership with the Ghana Education Service, targeting staff and students. This initiative aims to build a new generation of informed blood donors. The National Blood Service is actively seeking new support mechanisms to strengthen school-based programs. Their revised 5-year strategic plan from 2023 to 2027 prioritizes public-private partnerships to provide the logistical, educational, and relevant resource support. The Chief Executive of the National Blood Service, Dr. Shirley Owusu-Ofori, emphasized the urgent need for increased donations as current rates are creating access challenges for patients.
We are proud to combine our efforts, our resources, and the passion to encourage more people to donate and to raise awareness about the ongoing need for blood. Together, we can strengthen our communities and create a lasting impact. This, in turn, will lead to an improved donor participation and blood collection outcomes, increasing availability and access to safe blood and blood products for transfusion therapy.
Grandmaster of the Grand Lodge of Ghana, Dr. Norte Kwashi Omabo, emphasized the program's humanitarian values, calling blood donation a pure act of compassion.
Blood, a special and shared human currency, it cannot be manufactured, it cannot be improvised in an emergency, it must be given. And it must be given voluntarily, regularly, and generously. And irrespective of your socio-economic background, who you are, we all share this common need, and we possess this common solution: giving and receiving blood.
The assistant headmistress in charge of administration, Ganata Senior High School, Mrs. Alberta Grace G, affirmed the school's commitment to the national blood mobilization effort, promising continued support for student participation and sensitization programs. This renewed partnership between the Grand Lodge and the National Blood Service seeks to mobilize resources, improve blood donation education, and establish.
Selling news, the Forestry Commission has filed a civil lawsuit against founder of the new force, Nana Kwame Bediako, also known as Cheddar, at the High Court, asking for possession of 2 tigers is alleged to have imported into the country legally. Lawyers for the commission told the court they have been struggling to serve court documents on Cheddar, although they have made contact with him.
The Forestry Commission argues that the manner in which the 2 wild cats were imported into the country breached the exports and imports permit requirement rules and is in direct violation of the Scientific Authority Advice or Management Approval as contained in Article 111 of the CITES Convention and must therefore confiscate the 2 tigers. The document states that stakeholders and the ecotourism of the Wildlife Division of the Forestry Commission premised their action on the Wildlife Resources Management Act 2023, Act 1115, which provides that the Wildlife Division of the Forestry Commission is mandated to maintain and conserve wildlife and also manage wildlife protected areas. The Commission is a signatory to a number of international conventions and other treaties concerning wildlife, particularly endangered species such as the 2 tigers. The Commission claims its attention was drawn to the presence of the animals in 2022 when it was notified that Nana Kwame Bediako, also known as Freedom Jacob Caesar, had brought into the country and was keeping them at his home situated in a residential area. According to the Commission, a visit and subsequent investigation into the presence of the tigers showed that Mr. Bediako brought the animals into the country without lawful authority and in breach of wildlife laws. The Commission said despite the breach and in the interest of the tigers and the general public, it took steps to take possession the 2 tigers, which is keeping currently at a facility within the Accra Zoo area and providing the right medical care since 2024. In court, lawyers for the Forestry Commission said they have been unable to serve hearing notice on Cheddar despite making contact with him. Justice Sedinam Awokwadam, presiding, ruled that if by the next adjourned date the Commission is unable to serve the processes on Cheddar, they could consider an application for a substituted service. The case has been adjourned to March 5, 2026.
The Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources has initiated nationwide consultations to develop regulations to support the Wildlife Resources Management Act 2023. The initiative aims to strengthen enforcement of the Act and to create clear mechanisms for communities to actively manage and benefit from Ghana's wildlife resources.
Stakeholder engagement had representatives from 5 regions: Volta, Oti, Eastern, Central and Greater Accra to review a draft legislative instrument. This instrument will bring the Wildlife Resources Management Act of 2023 into effect. The Act represents a significant shift in wildlife governance, emphasizing conservation, enforcement and community involvement. The Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Alhaji Yusuf Sulemana, stressed the importance of these consultations. He stated that the regulations must be practical, comprehensive and reflect local realities, highlighting on past policies which often failed due to insufficient early engagement with affected groups.
Make it operational, and the import of it is to ensure that there's transparency in the governance of our wildlife resources, in the management of our wildlife resources. And to do that means that you have to get everybody on board. And that is why you can see all the stakeholders, including the chopper operator who buys meat from the hunters. You have hunters, you have everybody on board. That way it becomes very easier to implement it.
Executive Director of Wildlife at the Forestry Commission, Dr. Joseph Boachi, described the workshop as a crucial step towards creating a modern law capable of tackling challenges such as poaching, habitat destruction, and the effects of climate change.
We need to make sure that in our generation we will be able to well manage and conserve what has been handed over to us. I've been telling my staff that the natural resources of this country is a heritage that has been bequeathed to us. And as managers and custodians, we also have a responsibility to ensure that we manage it well and pass it on to the next generation.
A bush meat market representative from the Central Region, Ms. Vida Enchel, welcomed the initiative. She noted that stronger regulations would help curb illegal hunting. She also mentioned that traders have formed associations to discourage the sale of poached animals and support enforcement agencies.
First, but it's a near master. 1 week, maybe I caught twice. Twice and a crab, I wouldn't be. A biba. And Sinyama Bebra, Santi Mifiste, says Emre when so be Shemukina, a beboy.
The draft legislative instrument covers vital areas including protected area management, licensing, wildlife trade, enforcement, and the community resource management areas framework. The framework gives local communities a direct role in managing and benefiting from wildlife resources.
National Development Planning Commission (NDPC) has held a regional consultative engagement with the Eastern Regional Coordinating Council and municipal and district chief executives in Koforidua in the Eastern Region. The consultative engagement was to develop a consolidated long-term national development plan integrating the 40-year long-term plan, the Ghana Beyond Aid Charter, and Vision 2057, among others.
The National Development Planning Commission, NDPC, continuously engages regional coordinating councils and metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies to align local development planning with national priorities to ensure regulatory compliance and strengthen decentralized planning. As part of its mandate, the NDPC also makes proposals for the protection of the natural and physical environment and ensures even development of the districts. The participants included planning officers and representatives of the Regional House of Chiefs. The Eastern Regional Minister, Mrs. Rita Akosua-Ejei Awate, observed that the NDPC's continued guidance and leadership in national development remain invaluable to the country's development agenda. In a presentation on regional development planning, challenges and opportunities, the Regional Development Planning Officer, Mr. Michael Ajiman, identified some key development challenges in the region, such as limited manufacturing industries, modern markets, negative activities of nomadic herdsmen, and poor road networks. He recommended that the approved annual action plan should be captured in the GIFME system to serve as the basis for initiation and implementation of programs and projects. The chairman of the NDPC, Dr. Nimoy Thompson, spoke about the special planning.
For us, we are looking at two things at once. We are looking at infrastructure. The Ghana Infrastructure Plan was launched by the president last year. The other one is what we call the soft issues, the values, the attitudes, the belief systems of the people. We can build all we want. If the individuals, if the citizens are not disciplined, then they will undermine the efforts that we make in terms of infrastructure.
The Director General of the NDPC, Dr. Audrey Smoke Amwa, spoke to GBC News on the basis of the regional consultative meetings across the country.
His Excellency, the President, charged us as a commission to consolidate all the existing long-term plans into one plan to guide the country. That was the basis for which this regional tour was organized, to begin the first level of consultations with all relevant stakeholders within the region, especially our revered chiefs.
Certificates were presented to the MDAs that have completed their plans based on standards set by the Commission.
Some migrants feel alienated from their home countries and therefore find it difficult to return home. They are alienated by bad attitude of their own people or by labeling, stereotyping, or offensive categorizations. Names such as returnee, illegal migrant, or irregular migrant affect the emotions and feelings of people on the move, especially those who move across international boundaries. As part of a research for deeper understanding of migration and how best to manage it, some scholars from a university in Germany have had discussions with Ghanaian migration stakeholders at the Center for Migration Studies of the University of Ghana. The interaction took the form of a panel discussion termed Homecoming or New Displacement, reflecting on return in African communities. It is said that human beings are not trees, so they move from place to place. Today, people travel for adventure, work, or to flee wars and unrest. Having lived in the destination country for some time, the traveler finds it difficult to return home, either voluntarily or when they are being forced to return. The reasons are varied and various: reintegration complexity, loss of social attachment, difficulties with citizenship status, and attitudes of family members or the society in general. Various participants made contributions and asked questions. Professor Rika Scholes, a migration and return expert from the Friedenthal Adventist University in Germany, described the discussion as a reflection on the concept of return. Dr. Kweku Ahinsam from the same university gave a perspective on the issue of return.
What we want to get from this workshop is to reconceptualize or rethink about return. How do we receive people who are returning? Is the society ready to receive returnees? Or even the terms we use, the concept, the jargons, the labels, the categories, are they from us, or it is a colonial legacy that we have inherited?
An official, Pamela Kujo from the Ghana Immigration Service, suggested that our government should harness the skills of compatriots who have returned home with such resources. Still watching News Hour live on GBC News. A two-day conference aimed at strengthening civil society participation in Ghana's review of the Global Compact for Safe, Orderly and Regular Migration has ended in Accra. The program forms part of Ghana's preparations towards the 2026 International Migration Review Forum, the primary global platform convened by the United Nations to assess progress in the implementation of the GCM.
Ghana, recognized as a voluntary GCM champion country, has developed a national implementation plan and a set of national migration indicators to guide monitoring, reporting, and accountability. However, stakeholders emphasized that achieving a comprehensive and credible review of the implementation requires a whole-of-society approach that meaningfully incorporates civil society evidence. To support the process, a national consultant has been engaged to compile Ghana's National Voluntary Report on GCM implementation in collaboration with the Government of Ghana and the International Organization for Migration, IOM. The workshop is expected to validate CSO-generated evidence against the national report, conduct a structured SWOT analysis of civil society migration work, document good practices in line with national indicators, and draft a unified Ghana CSO progress statement with coordinated recommendations and a collective pledge for the IMRF. Eric Boachi Piasa is the national president of CCMG.
Although the Global Compact for Migration (GCM) is not legally binding, Ghana has demonstrated a strong commitment by developing the National Implementation Plan 2025-2027 to ensure effective practical implementation.
The Migration Directorate said the gathering sought to strengthen the capacity, coherence, and visibility of civil society engagement in Ghana's GCM review process.
A national consultant has already been engaged to lead the compilation of our report on our GCM implementation, and your collaboration will be key to ensuring a credible and comprehensive outcome.
According to CCMG, the development of a unified Ghana CSO progress statement will position civil society as a constructive partner in national and global migration governance while strengthening coordinated advocacy towards 2030. Ghana's participation at the 2026 IMRF will be inclusive, credible, and grounded in practical experiences from communities.
Fire safety compliance was largely manual, fragmented, and time-consuming. Today, that narrative has changed. The Ghana National Fire Service has embraced the Automated Fire Certificate and Safety System, a comprehensive digital platform designed to transform Ghana's fire safety compliance framework.
Ghana has over the years suffered the devastating consequences of recurring fire outbreaks, lives lost, businesses destroyed, and families displaced. In many of these tragic incidents, a common issue has emerged: properties operating without adequate fire safety measures, partially due to fire certification process that was cumbersome, slow, and often inaccessible to ordinary Ghanaians. The launch of the Automated Fire Compliance and Safety System, AFCAS, marks a bold transition from manual, fragmented, and time-consuming processes to a fully digital, standardized, and technology-driven fire safety compliance regime. Developed by the Ghana National Fire Service with support from the Ministry of Finance, the Chief Fire Officer, Madam Daniela Mausi Into-Sapo, pledged the service's full commitment to ensuring that AFCAS delivers its intended benefits.
AFCAS will introduce a reliable and structured revenue stream for the service. This will significantly reduce delay and overstretching of government subventions and enable us to reinvent into our core mandate.
The Minister for the Interior, Muntaka Mohamed Mubarak, called on property owners, regulatory bodies, developers, businesses, institutions, and the general public to fully embrace and support the implementation of AFCAS.
By strengthening inspection planning and generating reliable data, the system supports evidence-based decision-making and long-term service safety planning nationwide. In this way, AFCAS will save life, protect livelihood, safeguard national assets, and reduce avoidable losses to fire disaster.
AFCAS is a partnership initiative that demonstrates deliberate shifts in how fire safety is regulated, how services are delivered to the public, and how lives, investments, and national assets are protected. For GBC News, Juliet Metal-Edmonds reports.
The Deputy Minister for Food and Agriculture, Mr. John Dumelo, says agricultural mechanization must be seen as a tool to empower farmers and improve livelihoods and not a replacement for human labor. He was speaking at the inauguration of a new agricultural mechanization center in the Eastern region.
Agriculture in the Eastern region is expected to improve following the opening of a new agricultural mechanization center in the region and the official launch of Captain tractors on the Ghanaian market. Officials described the introduction of the tractors as a strategic move to close the mechanization gap faced by smallholder farmers. The Deputy Minister for Food and Agriculture, John Dumelo, said the intervention is a deliberate effort to step up food production and improve the livelihoods of farmers in the region.
Today marks a pivotal milestone in our journey towards
a modernized, resilient, and self-sufficient agricultural sector. For too long, our smallholder farmers have been caught in the middle ground, needing more power than a whole, or finding massive industrial tractors impracticable or unaffordable. These tractors represent precision and accessibility. The inauguration of this Agricultural Mechanizing Center is perhaps the most critical component of today's event. A tractor without a service center is merely a ticking clock. This center will serve as a sanctuary for maintenance, a hub for spare parts, and most importantly, a classroom. We aren't just giving farmers keys. We are building an ecosystem of operators, technicians, and entrepreneurs. Mechanization is not about replacing the farmer. It is about empowering the farmer to do more, earn more, and live better.
The Eastern Regional Director of Agriculture, Samuel Berimofisu, described the development as a significant step towards transforming agriculture in the region. The Kwewu unit Dasibre Ikuamuabuaten urged farmers in the area to form cooperatives, giving the assurance that Kwewu people are credit-worthy and would repay any loans they take.
Formal cooperative agricultural unions. Na ankasani yebitia kambo. Se minister crop tractor na anaban crop ya kuma dinin etunya bom amani. Ko fo nso de nokɔ die yedi nokɔ yie ti business. Timsremu se ye formal unions yi na aban ma ya patani ana minister tobia na ye adwuma so ya pon ya butua eka. Se ko fo yin ka 20 and the business so koso.
The Chief Executive of Hokrat Agric and Mechanization Services, Nana Intri Dakwa, explained that the model being introduced would allow smallholder farmers to access machinery on a rental basis.
Mechanization improves productivity, it ensures timely farming operations, and enhances overall farm efficiency. The central issue of agricultural mechanization, for which we are launching this service today, is to provide access to mostly small-scale holder farmers. As such, most of these farmers do not necessarily need to own agricultural machinery. What they need are reliable, timely, and affordable mechanization services.
Traditional leaders welcomed the initiative and pledged their support.
Education stakeholders in Aponapono and Jato in the Suhum municipality of the Eastern region are calling for the school feeding program to be extended to rural schools. They say many children in the two communities absent themselves from school due to poverty.
Aponapono, a cocoa-growing community in the Suhum municipality of the Eastern region, is just a few kilometers from Suhum. There is rising absenteeism among the pupils, all due to poverty.
We went round to seek, in fact, I want to know the reasons why the children were not coming to school. We were told that, in fact, Papa, I will not get money to give to my children to come to school.
Education stakeholders in the municipality say none of the 5 schools in Aponapono and nearby communities, including Jato, benefits from the government's school feeding program, a situation they believe is worsening by day. In nearby Jato, another cocoa farming community where a lot of local gene is distilled, school authorities are advocating skills training to empower learners economically.
They should give us some skills, as in soap making, those bead making things, to boost the learners with skills, so that they will be able to fend for themselves whilst they also make these things and then sell to the public.
The two communities are participating in Plan International Ghana's Routing for Change project, which is said to have contributed to a reduction in teenage pregnancies. Stakeholders believe expanding feeding programs and skills training will improve school attendance and reduce vulnerability in rural communities such as Aponapono.
As Muslims around the world observe the holy month of Ramadan, the Turkish community in Ghana has reached out to Muslim inmates of the Ghana Prison Service with a generous donation of food items.
Ramadan is a period of fasting, reflection and charity, and in that spirit, the Turkish community chose to remember those behind bars, reminding them that they are not forgotten. The donation, made up of 80 bags of rice, 50 boxes of tomato paste, 30 boxes of spaghetti, 33 boxes of sunflower oil, and 4 boxes of sugar, was presented to the Minister for the Interior, Muntaka Mohammed Mubarak, on behalf of the Ghana Prison Service. The minister commended the Turkish community for remembering inmates during Ramadan and added that the items would go a long way to improve the well-being of the inmates. Country coordinator of the Hyundai Foundation, Mr. Ramzi Seke, explained that the donation forms part of efforts to spread love and hope to the needy, especially during Ramadan. The Turkish ambassador to Ghana, Hussein Gunga, reaffirmed Turkey's commitment to strengthening relations between Ghana and Turkey.
It's the weekend edition of News Hour live on your trusted news channel, GBC News. We are back shortly with some more news. Please stay with us.
Highly recommended by Ministry of Health, CHAS and GES. Lab tested by Noguchi Medical. Field trialed by Atomic Energy Commission. It has no chemical or side effects and is good for all ages and skin type. MedShea is available nationwide. Contact us on 0244892413. This advert is approved by FDA.
Wow, it tastes good. Yes, come on, Keke. Wow, be dear dance here. Pao, I don't concern. I don't quack. I don't go rock beaters. Mommy beer. And it's yes. What a blend. It's a masterpiece. Drink responsibly, not for sale to persons under 18 years, not recommended for pregnant women and lactating mothers. Don't drink and drive. This advert is FDA approved.
Time now for some business news. The Deputy Minister for Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, Mr. Samson Nahi, has reaffirmed the government's resolve to remove trade facilitation bottlenecks affecting Ghana's textile sector. At a meeting with industry players in Accra, Mr. Nahi described the garment industry as a critical driver of industrial transformation and export diversification, with potential to create thousands of jobs for the youth in the country.
The latest public-private dialogue on textile and garment trade facilitation challenges in Accra forms part of government's move to make Ghana's garment industry competitive. Despite its potential to rake in millions of dollars into the national kitty, the garment industry is reeling under pressure from cheap imports. The Deputy Minister for Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, Mr. Samson Nahi, acknowledged persistent challenges confronting industry players, including cumbersome customs and clearance procedures, regulatory compliance burdens, logistics inefficiencies, and the underutilization of existing trade facilitation schemes. He further stressed the need to better align digital trade systems, including ICOMS, with the practical needs of textile and garment operators.
A key focus of this engagement is the Authorized Economic Operator Scheme, which offers faster clearance, reduced inspections, and greater predictability. We will also explore how digital trade facilitation systems, such as ICOMS, can be better aligned with the operational realities of the textiles and garment sector to enhance efficiency and compliance.
The Director for West Africa and AFCFTA at Trademark Africa, Harriet Gai, underscored the urgency of implementing evidence-based reforms to reposition Ghana as a competitive garment manufacturing hub within West Africa. She noted that although the garment sector has declined from its historic peak, the rapid production of more than 40 million face masks during the COVID-19 pandemic demonstrated the industry's resilience and latent capacity when policy direction and private sector commitments are aligned.
Government's textile and garment manufacturing policy provides a clear framework to develop an integrated value chain, diversify exports, and create sustainable employment in line with Ghana's broader industrialization ambitions. Realizing this vision requires addressing persistent operational bottlenecks, including customs system downtimes, port hour misalignments, documentation delays, and early gate closures, as we've all experienced.
Government and industry stakeholders have agreed to collaborate closely in implementing reforms aimed at unlocking the full potential of Ghana's garment industry.
Naval chiefs from across West Africa have converged on Accra with one mission to tighten security across the Gulf of Guinea and reinforce the legal and operational mandate of officers serving in ECOWAS maritime centers. The high-level meeting is focused on strengthening coordination, intelligence sharing, and enforcement mechanisms to protect one of Africa's most strategic sea corridors, a lifeline for shipping, oil export, fisheries, and port operations across the sub-region.
The Gulf of Guinea accounts for more than 20% of Africa's maritime trade, making it one of the continent's busiest commercial waterways. Yet it remains vulnerable to piracy, illegal fishing, trafficking and smuggling threats that analysts estimate cost West African economies over $1.9 billion each year. With gaps in radar surveillance and limited vessel tracking capacity along parts of the coastline, the regional bloc ECOWAS is intensifying efforts to build a more robust maritime security framework. The 5th ordinary meeting of the ECOWAS Subcommittee of Chiefs of Naval Staff in Accra brought together the region's top naval commanders and maritime security decision makers to sharpen strategies for protecting shipping lines, offshore assets, and the growing blue economy. The Commissioner for Political Affairs, Peace and Security, Abdel Fattah Musa, stressed that a fully operational regional security architecture is critical to curbing piracy, tackling illicit trade, and safeguarding commercial routes that drive economic growth.
It will be recalled that the decision of the Mediation and Security Council, which was taken at the level of heads of state and government on 31st July 2018, established the ECOWAS Subcommittee of the Chiefs of Naval Staff for the effective implementation of the ECOWAS Maritime Security Architecture in line with the adopted ECOWAS Integrated Maritime Strategy aims by the ECOWAS heads of state and government that was taken in 2014.
Earlier, the Chief Staff Officer at the Ghana Naval Headquarters, Ben Baba Abdul, highlighted the direct economic impact of maritime security on Ghana, from protecting fisheries and offshore oil installations to securing port revenue and marine resources that sustain thousands of livelihoods.
This meeting provides us with an opportunity to assess our collective efforts with a view to strengthening operational cooperation among ourselves and other navies. Every day that critical responses remain on the drawing board is a day that vulnerabilities persist and criminals exploit our defenses. It is therefore my hope and fervent prayer that this 5th meeting of ours will be one not only of consultation, but of clear commitment to implementation.
The meeting also reviewed progress since the last session in Cabo Verde, examined proposals for a combined maritime task force, and assessed updates on joint patrols and national-level operations. Officials say the outcome of the Accra meeting is expected to boost surveillance capacity, reduce losses from illegal maritime activity, and strengthen investor confidence in the Gulf of Guinea's expanding blue economy.
Long-abandoned irrigation facility under the Ministry of Food and Agriculture that was brought back to life has now been turned into a training ground for thousands of Ghanaian youth eager to venture into agribusiness and export-oriented farming. The facility recently hosted about 27 agribusiness managers from the Agri Institute in Indiana, USA, who are in Ghana on an agricultural study and leadership tour.
Located at Dawenya near Pram Pram in the Greater Accra region, the facility, Maflex Trust, initially developed by the Ghana Irrigation Development Authority, GIDA, hosts about 100 greenhouse units or tents, but had been left unused for nearly 8 years. The facility is designed to equip over 5,000 young people with practical skills that go beyond traditional farming. Trainees receive accommodation, meals and allowances while learning greenhouse cultivation, open field farming, irrigation systems, crop research and agribusiness management. The visit by the 27 agribusiness managers from the Agri Institute in Indiana, USA, was to share ideas on the best agriculture practices, challenges and how to work closely with the government in ensuring a conducive environment is created for agribusiness to thrive.
We think of agriculture very traditional. It's more of a stable. What's been such a learning for me is how new the whole industry may be for some Ghana people. A lot of industry experts that we're speaking to today have been in business for 2 to 5 years. You know, in industries in media, for example, that they've been doing for decades. So the new learnings, how new everything is, there's so much potential that they're going to experience in the next decades.
The fertigation and irrigation methods in the greenhouse are very modern, and it should be a very good benefit to you whenever it comes to exports of those products that you're producing.
The chief executive of Maflex Trust is Dr. Felix Mawuli Kamasa.
The president's commitment to the agriculture sector is something we think that it will go a long way. The government have a lot of irrigation center. We want collaboration to develop those centers for the youth to take advantage in terms of agriculture, because we think that that's the way to go. Government cannot employ everybody, but these are the opportunity to employ.
The facility will in the near future replicate the model across other irrigation sites nationwide, building what it calls agro-vegetable cities that can reduce unemployment, boost food security and increase foreign exchange earnings.
In international news, U.S. President Donald Trump has increased tariffs to 15% 1 day after U.S. Supreme Court decision struck down his sweeping import taxes. In a post on Truth Social, President Trump wrote that over the next short number of months, the Trump administration will determine and issue the new and legally permissible tariffs. Yesterday, the president said the Supreme Court's decision to strike down his sweeping tariffs was deeply disappointing. With a 6-3 majority, the court ruled that President Trump exceeded his authority when he imposed tariffs via a law reserved for national emergencies. They say he needs congressional approval to impose taxes on imports.
Natural mosquito repellent, highly recommended by Ministry of Health, CHAS and GES, lab tested by Noguchi Medical, field trialed by Atomic Energy Commission. It has no chemical or side effects and is good for all ages and skin type. MedShea is available nationwide. Contact us on 0244892413. This advert is approved by FDA.
Let's now do some sports news. The majority leader, Mr. Mahama Ayariga, has underscored the importance of creating a positive and united atmosphere around the Black Stars as they prepare for the World Cup in the United States, Canada and Mexico, noting that strong public support can boost player confidence and performance on the global stage.
But we all know that the team alone cannot just go and then participate and come back. The team does well based on a certain atmosphere. And so there's a need to create an enabling atmosphere in the country where the team is participating in the tournament, for them to be able to deliver. I recall, Mr. Speaker, that when I was sports minister and we went to Equatorial Guinea for the African Cup of Nations, I had to commit a few days before the tournament to travel to some of the major cities in Equatorial Guinea to meet the Ghanaian community and convince them to leave their work and travel from the cities that they were working to Malabo and Mongomo, where we were playing. We also played in I think, another city, 3 cities. And when they are going, you will have to provide buses at the barest minimum. And then you will have to pay the tickets for them. A man is sitting doing his work in some city. You say you should leave and come and support Ghanaians because you are not able to ferry Ghanaians all the way from Ghana to come and support. So you want to count on the small contingent of Ghanaians who are in that country to at least show up at the stadium to support. It will cost you money, whichever way, no matter what sacrifices they choose to make, you will still have to spend some money. It might even be necessary to support our, supporters unions to go there. But the Commission's report says state funds should not be used for such activities. Very commendable position because of the abuses that we saw in the past. So we have to resort to raising funds through other channels to be able to support the Black Stars, create an atmosphere in the various stadiums where they will be playing in order to spur them on. So, Mr. Speaker, I think the statement is welcome, and I want to commend the Minister for Sports and Recreation for sure.
The technical handlers of the senior national women's football team, the Black Queens, have named their squad for the Pink Ladies Cup in the United Arab Emirates. The four-nation tournament is part of the Queens' preparation for the upcoming Women's Africa Cup of Nations.
Young talents such as Alexandra Tei, Diana Amwako, Helen Alomenu have also earned call-ups, highlighting the coach's commitment to blending youth and experience. The Pink Ladies Cup will serve as a key preparatory assignment for the Black Queens, giving the technical team the chance to assess player readiness for the tournament. Goalkeepers Cynthia Findip, Efia Amenyeku, and Rose Bar. Defenders are Benedict Simone, Comfort Yeboah, Josephine Bunsu, Anastasia Ichan, Portia Boache, Alexandra Emefatei, Susan Amadia, Dinah Amwako, Grace Asantewa, and Jennifer Kujo. The midfielders include Nancy Amwa, Wasima Muhammad, Evelyn Bedu, Chantel Boy-Hloka, Helen Alomenu, Princess Mafu, and Priscilla Edubia. The attackers are Alice Kusi, Stella Nyameche, Sharon Simpson, Doris Bwedua, Ajejepina Zakaria, and Abigail Kofi Kim.
In smart news, as young people across Ghana celebrated Chocolate Day with parties and outings, the Shalom Parish of the Evangelical Presbyterian Church of Ghana, Adansuman, took a different approach, dedicating the day to spiritual growth and meaningful reflection.
Valentine's Day, widely celebrated as a day of love and affection, often sees young people throng entertainment centers and social events. However, leadership of the Shalom Parish of the Evangelical Presbyterian Church encouraged young members to remain in the house of God, describing the season as one that should reflect not only romantic love, but also God's love and responsible living. Reverend Magnus Yautedoku is the parish pastor of EP Church Ghana, Shalom Parish, Dansoman.
As Christians, we have the power to modify what is being done, and that is what we are currently doing now, to modify what is being done in the past so that we can make it Christianized, so that it will not bring any problem to people. So today is a day of love for all of us to celebrate.
The event featured lively performances by the Ghana Armed Forces Band, alongside other musical presentations, creating an atmosphere of praise and celebration. Church leaders noted that while there is nothing wrong with celebrating love, young people must remain mindful of potential negative influences that sometimes accompany such festive seasons. They encouraged participants to prioritize discipline, spiritual grounding, and purposeful living. Some young participants said celebrating Valentine's Day in church allowed them to reflect on their purpose, strengthened their commitment to Christian values, and offered a wholesome alternative to parties and social gatherings.
I believe church is like family, and we are here with our family, so it's fun here as well. And moreover, we can always postpone our outing with our loved ones, so it's fine.
God, in His own wisdom, has gifted us this kind of love. Who are we to hold grudges against each other in the church? So I encourage each and every one of us and the entire world to be forgiven as a church and as a Christian society.
The program is part of ongoing efforts to provide safe and spiritually enriching spaces for the youth, especially during festive periods, guiding them toward responsible and value-driven lifestyles.
Thank you for watching News Hour live on GBC News. I'll be back at 10:30 with This Week for This Week. My name is Shirley Anandi. Have a good evening.
Meet Kwame. He's not just any Kwame. He's Kwame the TV license legend. Kwame knows that by paying his TV license, he's supporting GBC, our public service broadcaster, and he's making a real difference. Kwame's contribution helps bring our communities closer together. Because of Kwame and others like him, we will all have access to amazing TV programs, educational content, plus broadcasting infrastructures are maintained and our culture is beautifully promoted. So GBC is asking all to respond to this civic obligation and pay your TV license fee. For individuals, it's 3 CDs per month or 36 CDs per year. If you have multiple sets, meaning 2 or more in your household, it's 60 CDs per year. For commercial institutions, it's your number of TV sets by 36 CDs per year, and you pay the invoiced amount directly to GBC. So let's all take a moment to appreciate Kwame, the TV license legend. Wherever you are, just dial *447 *333# and follow the prompt. It's your civic duty, so pay your TV license today. GBC, the authentic and trusted voice of Ghana.
In 1965, Ghana chose her own value. From cowries and pounds, the city was born, our pride in our own hands. It flowed through markets, palms, and memories, and became part of daily life. Through every season of change, the city has remained a constant in Ghanaian life. In 2007, we took a bold step, ushering in a new era of confidence and stability. Today, the city lives in banks, markets, and apps, rooted in tradition, shaped by history, carried by innovation. 60 years on, it remains our heritage, our identity, our pride. Know the city. Keep it clean.
The children, their future is more important to me. As they posted me here, from the beginning I don't want to come. So I was also from a village and someone trained me there before I become somebody. So I have to also stay and then train the children. This is Bompata Basic School. I'm a teacher